And what you are seeing now, these images came and come in stark contrast to what we saw over the course of the daytime hours in Kenosha and into the early evening, which were largely peaceful demonstrations in the face of law enforcement. It wasn't until night fell that things began to get a little bit more contentious. Things were thrown back and forth. Police started using some of those crowd dispersal tactics like tear gas, even playing very loud sounds to push them out. And then what you are seeing, the common theme that ties all of this together, is an expression of anger and frustration over what people feel like has become an all too familiar story playing out in places from across the country, not just here in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
And keep that up there, Anthony. Keep that image up there. For those of you who are just listening and maybe driving right now and you actually can't see the screen here, this is a CNN reporter. This is from our riots a few years ago. And I forget exactly what the particular incident was now, but behind this reporter is a ball of fire. It's cars and buildings going up in smoke, orange flame at nighttime. And the little ticker down there, it says fiery but mostly peaceful protest after police shooting. And then, of course, he goes on to say, you heard him yourself, you can rewind it right now and listen, talk about, well, this is the reaction, that people are having out of frustration and so forth and so on. Earlier in the clip, he was saying during the daytime, things were mostly peaceful, blah, blah, until police officers start using riot or crowd disbursement methods. I play this video for you. And by the way, there are 20 of these mostly peaceful protest videos with flames and other types of violence taking place in the background I could play for you. But I think one makes the point, is that the mainstream media was so entrenched in its own philosophies, its own bias, that they can't call something for what it is. That this is unlawful, violent, and often deadly forms of illegal protest. Simple as that. They can't call it for what it's worth. Now, there are other protests that took place that the mainstream media called violent and murderous, and yes, the I word, insurrection, all of these things. But when you have cities burning like this and officers being killed, and there were officers killed, especially during the 2020 riots, when I was in the front line across the country, those were described with other terms altogether, mostly peaceful, protest, pushback, things like this. But they weren't called for what they were: violent, illegal, and deadly undertakings and protests. Riots is what they were. Riots.